All right, this is BG Custom Go Element Autoworks back at you. I typically sometimes make a video after the fact when I'm experimenting because I'm not sure if stuff is going to work. So when it works out, then I tend to come and make a post video. But this is a little project I decided to take on. This is regarding the rear subwoofer in the W215, CL500, CL55, all the other models up under the W215 category. So what I decided to do on this one is remove the rear subwoofer because I have an amplifier and a sub in the back, the Orion HCCA 12, and it, does not really resonate well inside the vehicle because of the blockage, because you have that rear gas tank in between the back seat and the trunk, and the only way to get air and sound waves and movement and all that stuff is by removing the rear subwoofer. There's a lot of tutorials or forums explaining how to remove the rear subwoofer. All right. In order to do it properly and to conserve the original CL55 or the whatever, the interior, and without cutting and doing damage, to preserve, I said reserve, but to preserve, all right, you have to remove the back seat. I decided not to do that. So I had on my yellow one that I used to have, I removed the back seat, the bottom seat, the rear back seat, the deck lid. I did all that on a previous one. It is very difficult to remove the headrest on this thing. They're like these locking mechanisms that's very difficult to get access to. In order to remove them, you have to come up with like a tool that you have to bend the tip, and a long metal rod that you got to stick in there. You got to find the little hole. It is so difficult. It's so difficult. I've done it twice. I said I'll never do it again. Now, again, I would have had to remove the bottom of the seat, the back of the seat, the pillar covers up here, and the back lid. Now, someone told me that they put 2 slits or 4 slits to maneuver that rear deck lid around the rear headrest so that you don't have to remove the headrest. That's smart because nobody's going to stick their head back in there and see those the 4 slits that allows the deck lid to come around the poles that support the headrest. All right, that's a good idea. Should have thought about that, but I didn't want to damage it. But this time around, I said, forget all that. I'm not about to spend 4 hours trying to get this rear subwoofer removed. So let's take a wild guess as to what I did. See these tools? See that? You see that? See that hammer? Now, this is stuff that you never want to see when doing an audio system on a Mercedes, because these cars are beautiful and you don't want to mess up the original design, and you don't want to damage it, so that if you ever want to put things back in there, you can do that. Well, keep in mind, I've already destroyed this car's originality by putting a wide body kit on here. So there's nothing about this car that I really need to preserve to keep original, because it's no longer an original CL55. So I said, screw it. All right. Here goes all the stuff that I removed. It gives you limited access to the bottom of the subwoofer. Take a wild guess what I did. Woo! I said, forget it. I'm cutting it all out. You have to be very careful, and I would not recommend this to someone who is kind of half-hearted about this modification. You better know what you're doing and know that once you do it, there is no turning back. So yeah, I cut that joint out. Bye-bye. All right, I cut it out. It's not pretty, but I don't really care, because once the cover's back on there, you don't see it. And so what this does now, it allows all the airflow from the subwoofer to resonate and get inside the cabin, and I can finally hear my bass. Because before, my whole back was rattling and everybody in the neighborhood could say they hear it, but I barely hear it because it wasn't really getting inside the cab. So I had to turn it up super loud and inconvenience everybody around me on the outside of my vehicle so that I can hear it on the inside. That's crazy. So this is what the rear subwoofer looks like. All right, it's in perfect condition. It will go on eBay. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, this is from a 2003 CL55. Again, once you put an aftermarket system in there, that's irrelevant. That little subwoofer ain't doing nothing. I mean, that's great on the factory sound system, but once you throw a big old subwoofer or something in there, I mean, think about it. I had a Kicker 2500.1, a ZX 2500.1 in there on the Orion 12-inch HCCA. So why do I care about this little 10-inch subwoofer or whatever size that thing is? I don't care nothing about that. At the end of the day, I want my sound system to sound good. Now, I still have my original deck in this joint. Now, I don't even know why, because I was trying to, again, preserve the originality of the car. I have this nice $1,500, who makes that? Clarion? Double din I've just been holding on to. It has the navigation, has all this extra stuff. It was the best one they made for years. I have it and have not installed it yet. This is like the last thing I want to do. I don't know why. But I will remove the deck eventually. I will remove it, okay, at some point. I know I will. I know. Just baby steps, man. It took me a year to get this body kit and everything together. I'm still doing modifications to it. For all those who be hating on my rear pipes, my tips, how big they are, well, I purchased some more. The original AMG ones cannot fit on this body kit because the body kit, the cutouts are not wide enough. You'll jack up the lower diffuser in order to get those original tips in there. So I decided to do something crazy, big, bold. But a lot of people be telling me that they don't like them. They remind them of a Honda, blah, blah, blah. I like them, but so I found some other ones that are AMG-ish. I bought those. I also found like some square, like the quad, but they're square. I might do that. I bought both of those, so we'll see which ones I like. I also had to remove the rear. Let me see. It's 4 sets of catalytic converters. The first 2 closer to the front, you don't remove. The ones closer to the rear, you can remove those. All right. I already removed, what is it, the resonators? Is that what they call it? Yeah, resonators. I already removed those, and that makes it sound better. But I'll remove the second set of catalytic converters, and that'll give me a little bit more power. Might even sound better. We'll see. All right, but like I said, this is what I have decided to do. Once it's all put back together, I already know what it's going to sound like. You have all that open airspace now that allows it to get inside the cabin. It's going to sound incredible, okay? I'm looking forward to that. All right, so that is the project I've decided to take on this Sunday morning, all right? Talk to you all later. I'll holla. Peace out.